The WWE has had a full year of global dominance in the world of sports and entertainment under the TKO banner. WWE is hotter than it's ever been. Breaking records, all kinds of records, has become the norm for WWE and pro wrestling. It seems that it's the hottest that it's ever been, maybe even ever. So WWE today is crushing it. And in this video, we're talking about, is that enough for SmackDown to move to 3 hours when it moves to the USA Network?
The following program has been approved for pro wrestling fans by the creators of the Angle Podcast.
Oh, wrestling fans! Clap for the Angle Podcast!
The Angle Podcast.
Angle Podcast.
The Angle Podcast.
The Angle Podcast.
The Angle Podcast.
It's the Angle Podcast! How exciting!
Although WWE labels SmackDown as the B show, as Raw is the flagship, the A show, whatever they want to title it, SmackDown has always been the land of opportunity. And a big reason as to why it is so successful is, one, at least in my opinion, the show flows efficiently, it flows smoothly. Everyone gets a fair share of time on the product when The Rock is, not there. But in overall, SmackDown has always been a spot for talent to grow, whether coming from NXT or even getting a new refresh from Monday Night Raw. Welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Joey Carney. Welcome to the Angle Podcast. Welcome to my little corner in the YouTube world. I'm glad that you're back. I'm glad that you're here. If you are a continued viewer, a continued listener, thank you for coming back. I encourage you to keep watching and keep getting involved all across even YouTube and social media. If you are a new viewer or a new listener and you're just coming across me for the first time, I hope by the end of this video, you're like, damn, I really want to hear more from this guy and this podcast and this show. I gotta subscribe, smash that subscribe button like this tribal chief would. Continue binging, continue watching all the great things that happen on this channel, whether it's interviews or videos just like this. So yes, if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button and let's get into this video. Plain and simple, WWE is as hot as it's ever been. In a recent interview, John Cena stated that in 2012, WWE's stock was publicly trading at $11 or $12 or so. In 2024, it's above 100. Now, John Cena credits that to the tribal chief, our tribal chief, the OTC of WWE, Roman Reigns. But it is a group effort, and all the men and women in WWE, on TV, behind the screen, all should be credited to that. But more importantly, the fans for loving what they're seeing, investing their time, their money, and really their life, like me, to enjoying and getting involved with their product. Now, September 12th is the 1 full year anniversary of WWE and WWE and UFC merging together from Endeavor to create TKO. It was the first day that it was announced publicly that the two would be partnering up, rebranding into TKO. Now, over this last year, a lot has changed in the world of WWE. We're seeing a lot of different changes, whether it's TV media rights that are now up, and it's part of the reason why this video is even taking place. I'll get into that in a second, so we'll put a pin in that. Live events, WWE has already announced, or their president, or one of the live event presidents, I don't know who the hell it is, but somebody within the company has announced that they'll be reducing their live event schedule in 2025 by 50 dates or so, which, again, will play into this video. So the real meat and potatoes here is, or the question I should rather ask you here, should SmackDown move to 3 hours, to a 3-hour format from 2 now, on the USA Network when it premieres? Now, to break down all these media rights conversations, that all these numbers and things that you really don't understand, at least for the most part, right now, Friday Night SmackDown is on Fox. Monday Night Raw and NXT are both on the USA Network. Starting September 13th, Friday Night SmackDown will be moving over to the USA Network. Starting in January of 2025, Monday Night Raw will be leaving the USA Network, going over to streaming live on Netflix. And within the upcoming months in October, NXT will be leaving the USA Network over to the CW Network. Now, the CW Network is a great spot for NXT because they are looking to embark on a new journey, really putting emphasis on sports and all things in the sporting world. Now, when it comes to the Monday Night Raw deal, $5 billion for 10-year media rights on Netflix. There are so many rumors swirling around as to what will happen. Will Raw go to 2 hours? Will it stay at 3 hours? Will there be commercials? What will we be getting from the Raw era on Netflix? Or should I say Raw is Netflix? But until then, we'll just leave it at that. SmackDown, on the other hand, moving from Fox over to the USA Network, is currently 2 hours. And what I've always loved about SmackDown, I know a lot of you watching as well have loved about SmackDown, is that SmackDown flows smoothly. It's an efficient show. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a lot of things take place, but a lot of significant things take place where it's not filler like we get on Monday Night Raw. There's a lot of things that are happening on that show that really make you look forward to and even build anticipation to the next show or the next PLE. Whatever the case may be, SmackDown is always way better formatted, and a lot of people credit that to the show being 2 hours opposed to 3 for Monday Night Raw. Now, when you're discussing a 3-hour show opposed to a 2, there's 1 extra hour. Simple math here, guys. But you would think that that extra hour would be used to deepen storylines, build new storylines, give more TV time to the women and tag team wrestling, or maybe even just introduce new superstars, gives room to bring up people from NXT, get those call-ups going. The whole point of NXT was to build the future of WWE, to move them to Raw or SmackDown to become main event talent on WrestleMania. That's the formula they were going with. So to see what's happening now, where Monday Night Raw has this extra hour where it's really filled with filler content, I would say, where it's these long dragged out segments or just too many segments or these matches that really make no sense that they're just trying to find a spot for. We saw a few years back, we saw Raw Underground. We saw them bring out this segment with Corey Graves where they would do a Q&A with the crowd. We've seen the 24/7 championship. All these things were done to really fill that third hour of WWE TV. Now, here's the big breaking news that happened earlier this week. When WWE's programming, Raw, SmackDown, and NXT all joined the USA Network for a short period of time, because right now, like I said earlier, Raw and NXT are still on the USA Network. NXT moving to CW in October, Raw leaving in January. So we have a few months of all these shows really being in one place. SmackDown premiering September 13th, Friday at 8 p.m. on USA. So like I said, all 3 shows on the USA Network for a month or so. So that leaves WWE to really utilize USA Network as much as they can. Now, starting in October, running through the end of 2024, they're labeling it as WWE Raw's finale on the USA Network. Starting in October till then, Raw is going to become a 2-hour show, going from 8 to 10 p.m. So many are anticipating that Raw will be moving to a 2-hour time slot with 0 commercials when it moves to Netflix in January. And this is just the learning curve for WWE creative and production to really get on board and get a smooth sail going all the way into the Netflix era of Monday Night Raw. But maybe this is just a programming issue with the USA Network. It really has not been talked about or said as to why this 2-hour Raw thing is happening, but for the next couple of months, starting in October, Raw is going to 2 hours. Now, it's crazy to think about. Monday Night Raw has been a 3-hour formatted program since 2012, which feels like a lifetime ago, and it really does feel like Raw has always been 3 hours. But I do remember a time way back when Raw was 2 hours, and at this point in time, it really doesn't feel any different outside of the little filler things they add here and there. I've been adjusted. I know a lot of the WWE Universe are now adjusted to this 3-hour format. So really, to think about this extra hour, it really makes you believe that WWE may be moving Raw to a 2-hour format going to Netflix. Does that affect SmackDown in any way, being that it is moving over to the USA Network? Maybe the USA Network wants that extra hour for Friday Night SmackDown. But if you think about it, I personally would not like to. I would not want to watch a 3-hour wrestling program on Friday night. I got stuff to do, people to see, places to go. I want to start my weekend off right, not with all of this wrestling. And if you think about it, the PLEs are currently on Saturday nights. So you really have a 3-hour SmackDown on Friday and then a pay-per-view or PLE on Saturday. So it becomes a whole weekend event of WWE TV, and I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. I know wrestling fans for a long time have wanted more wrestling, more WWE, but not always is more better, if that makes sense. Now, the only issue that I see that arises within a 2-hour program opposed to a 3-hour Raw is that sometimes you get superstars like The Rock who come out and have a 20-minute segment when they're not supposed to. And that pushes some segments to be less time moving forward. Sometimes segments and matches get cut permanently or extended to another show. It can hurt storylines if that happens, and it did happen earlier this year around WrestleMania time. We saw matches become really quick and segments even cut, and it affected storylines going into WrestleMania because The Rock would extend his time during his segment. So a 2-hour program, this can happen. Also, it builds a sense of urgency for the SmackDown superstars to really stay on schedule, don't go over their time, and just continue to run smoothly. Where Monday Night Raw, you have that extra hour, you can drag things out, you have that extra time because there's a lot of fillers, so you can kind of take that out, and it gives you more room to do more. But in the sense of SmackDown, I prefer the 2-hour show that runs smoothly. You get everything you need to build anticipation to the next show, to make me and you all watching want to watch the next show. And if you really think about it, WWE live events being cut next year in 2025 by 50 or more dates. SmackDown staying at 2 hours for the time being. Raw going to 2 hours for the time being. Maybe WWE is trying to get rid of that filler content that we're used to seeing on Raw and really start building deeper, heavier, stronger feuds and stories that makes WWE more exclusive if you can't see it as often as you do, because the shows will be so great and filled with such great content that you'd pay dozens of thousands of dollars to go to see that, opposed to, well, really that's happening now. But besides the point, making the product more exclusive with less shows, less time on TV, building bigger and better stories, and just really giving you all the things you need as a WWE fan. Now, my job is done here. I've given you all the evidence as to what can happen with a 2-hour SmackDown or a 3-hour SmackDown. I'm not here to be the barrel of this or that is right. I'm here to just give you the evidence, give you my opinion, and let you be the one to decide what you want to see, whether a 2 or 3-hour SmackDown. I'm just here to play devil's advocate, to give you both sides of the spectrum here. I'll leave you to decide that. You can comment down below in the comment section if you'd rather see a 2-hour SmackDown or a 3-hour SmackDown. I want to thank you all for tuning into this video, listening to me yap away as you always do. If you are a new viewer or listener, I hope by now you subscribe down below, join the family here on YouTube, continue watching this video because you're gonna roll into a video where I discuss all things John Cena and if he should win a 17th world title, breaking the record as he does. As in this video, like I stated, WWE breaking records, all great things. What a time it is to be a pro wrestling fan and a WWE fan. Go binge more and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. There's nothing better than coming home to a package from my friends over at the USA Network to promote the upcoming premiere of Friday Night SmackDown. Let's take a look as to what they gifted me here. Oh, I'm going to use this every day for my coffee. And of course, the WWE graphic tee, and there is a SmackDown logo tee. I have to try this bad boy on. Look at this. Matches my color perfectly. Catch the premiere of SmackDown on USA Network September 13th.